All right. Welcome, 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 everybody. Stop me. If you've heard this one before, the U.S. played a boring, mediocre game against mediocre to decent CONCACAF talent. There was a lot of activity, a lot of effort, kind of ruined by poor touches, poor passes, and for most of the game, it was pretty much unwatchable. And welcome to the Groundhog edition of USfanTV. So, TJ, did U.S. soccer see their shadow?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think I think there's a lot of positives to take away from it, but I do feel like we've been down this road before with the positive results in Camp Cupcake. And when's the last time they gave up a goal during these January friendlies against garbage opponents? It's been a while,
Uh,
hasn't it?
well, it's been a while, but technically speaking, this is only the third time in the last like 10 years or something that we've actually won both games.
Usually they draw 1-0-0 or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
don't they?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily um, because the opponent scores goals. It's more that yeah, we haven't been. And it sure looked like that was going to happen again today. Despite the chances, it definitely looked like there was not going to be an end result. Nice of Sebastian Lletget to get the opener and what would prove to be the winning goal in a return to the stadium where he got injured so badly. What was it, 2 years ago? And I mean, he was pretty much on his way, I think, to probably making the full, like possibly even starting 11, definitely the full squad on a regular basis. And then that injury took him out of contention, and he's just kind of beginning to get some of it back. That dude's kind of had some bad luck all around. But then, yeah, to get the goal in the what was it, the 80th minute, I think it was, and then the assist a few minutes later um, to who was it? To Paul Ariola, of course.
Areola, yeah.
Um, yeah, with the final goal then of 6 7 minutes after that, whatever it was, after Ariola beat out the goalkeeper. Uh, Nice to see some wins. Certainly coming off of what we've been through, it's good to see that they got the win today. They got the win last week. Um, it's a positive way to start. Greg Berhalter's now only the third U.S. coach to open with two victories. So, in that regard, these are positive things. I thought Nick Lima and Georgi Mihalovic both showed, some of why their stock raised so much during the Panama game and maybe during this camp. There were times in the game for both of them at which they played really central, really important roles and were had good. I thought good reactions and good deliveries for other players. Um, Mihalovic was kind of, I think, fading by the time he came out, but he's also awfully young. Well, really, the whole lineup is young, but he's very young to expect a ton from his first international matches. Paul Ariola. What I liked was I've been a fan of his for a few years. My problem with him has always been that he's got the dribbling, he's got the speed that you want. He's a great winger, but his delivery to finish it has always been a little bit off. He actually had a couple good crosses today, so maybe that part of his game is coming around. If that happens, I definitely like to see a spot for him going forward.
And I guess this game, what you take away from it is that the U.S. has better MLS players on its side, internationals, than Costa Rica has with its internationals. I mean, this was an MLS versus an MLS side, which,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
but I think you hit the nail on the head with the names that, other than obviously Zach Steffen, who will feature as we go forward, but
yeah. Oh, yeah.
that who can stand a chance to breaking in. I I see Lletget actually ultimately being in that Hercules Gomez 65th, 70th minute sub that comes on that has a ton of pace, a ton of energy, and can finish those goals, which he's showing, gets in those positions and sets up. Areola, not quite as sure about, but you're right if he takes that next step. And then Mihalovic and Lima. Those are the only names that I take away and say these guys potentially have a chance as they go forward with the full side. And Mihalovic's game has to keep growing as it,
Yeah.
but this versus last year. I mean, we've watched him with the Fire. taken a nice step. And if this continues through this season and the next, I think, Mihalovic's creativity is and Lima's ability to find spaces. I mean, that seems to be what I'm impressed with coming forward. But Mihalovic overall, just his creativity is something out of an MLS player you don't see that frequently. Yeah. And so that was the takeaways that I've come away with.
Some of the quick through balls that he was playing were, I mean, he had I can't remember exactly when it happened, but that he received the ball and quickly spun and played it, I think, to Giazzi, very nearly. I think probably with maybe the full team lineup out there, that turns into a breakaway possible goal. It was like a lot of things today that there was just kind of like a little bit that was wrong that sort of wrecked it from, kind of stopped the end product from taking place. So whatever. I mean, it's a January camp. It's an all MLS team. It's guys trying to make probably that 13 through 21, 23 spot in a 13 to 18 on the game day, but like 13 to like 23, sometimes, as we know, like 25 to 28 with some of our camps. But I think probably the starting 11 is awfully tight already. Maybe starting to 13-ish. I think it's pretty locked down. But I think maybe we could debate who they are, but I think probably there are 13 to 15 players still that I think we could probably guess are pretty good locks to see the field in March. And I think these guys are trying to like fill that out and then fight for maybe a position on the field with the full group.
And the name I neglected to mention, that a couple of guys I've seen, Chris Fairburn, a couple others, NJAs, Zimmerman.
Yeah,
he's one. I agree. I wouldn't mind seeing a look of him with one Miazga or Brooks. I wouldn't mind seeing that look.
Well, as Miazga has struggled with playing time over the last few months, maybe Zimmerman starts getting a stronger look. What I liked about him was, especially in a game where it wasn't like there was a lot of defensive challenges that you could say, oh yeah, no, he was playing amazing. He shut down their striker or whatever. He broke up plays. There wasn't a ton of that happening, but he was aggressive in getting forward and trying to notch another goal. That was certainly interesting.
Yeah.
Will Trapp
had the great pass on the first goal.
Yeah, I mean, like there are things he does that are promising, and I thought he had a better second half than first.
Yeah,
it's not that he's not good; it's that in the end, Michael Bradley's still better. I mean, you and I were texting during the game about this. It's not that you want to knock the guy because he's doing a lot of things positively. It's just that Bradley's still a step better at kind of all of it. His placement's a little bit better. His location. There were times I thought where, when like in the second half when Trapp was more involved with the ball, there were times where I felt like he was like receiving it and passing it, like playing it immediately. And sometimes I felt like with Bradley, he probably would have held the ball for a second. And I know people complain about that because if suddenly, the player he could have delivered it to gets marked, he turns around and plays it backwards. But part of that is about keeping possession. And when we were already up 1-0, you don't necessarily need to go straight into another attack when we've already got the ball, well into their half of the field. Maybe that is the time you hold the ball for a moment and you draw a defender to you and hope that you make space for someone else.
And Bradley's efforts usually, and it seemed like when he'd be holding it up, how many times was that to try and let the defense catch a breath as he's trying to pull the ball going forward, like you said, possession.
There's also that too. Yeah,
I saw something on Twitter, and I don't know who to attribute it to. I think it was Kim McCauley said, like same thing, likes Will Trapp's game, but maybe we've seen the ceiling for Will Trapp. If not, we're getting close to it. He just may not have that as high of a ceiling. He's a good player.
Yeah. I mean, he can still play in games like this, and the Gold Cup and stuff. But when it comes to qualifiers.
But we already know who the center of that. I mean, that group's going to be.
True. I mean, yeah. As we were kind of talking, before this, Tyler Adams, maybe Weston McKennie are probably the future replacements for Michael Bradley. Will Trapp is
Will Trapp and Kellen Costa are a step back, I think.
yeah.
And like you said, not that they're bad. They're just they aren't there yet.
I mean, we saw what Acosta could do a couple of years ago. It's unfortunate that kind of his club situation has over some of that maybe deteriorated, and so that kind of I think was reflected in what happened with them to the national team. But maybe Acosta makes another step if things keep improving. The move to the Rapids I think was beneficial for him in that he moved straight into a starting role.
Correct. And somebody Ace mentions Bradley's international experience over Trapp. And there's truth to that. Bradley has a great mind for the game, but Trapp's been in a starting role for almost a year now.
Yeah.
He's got enough experience. You would expect some of these decisions to be more second nature than problematic, I guess would be. Like I said, I like Will Trapp. I think he's a good player, a very good player. He's not going to be one that features. And I think if you're looking for if somebody gets hurt, like a McKinney or an Adams gets hurt, I think if you're looking for your top 11, Bradley gets a look before you go back to Will Trapp. That's just, my take on it from at this point. So, Lima over Yedlin. Lima and Yedlin. That's an interesting. That's interesting.
I don't know that anybody's getting over Yedlin right now. Maybe in the future. One of the things is playing regularly in the Premier League has helped Yedlin's defensive capabilities. It has helped his skills. He's still got the speed. Is there anybody on any team that could beat that dude in a foot race? And that's why, if we play
DeMarcus
with
Beasley,
maybe DeMarcus, if his walker will move that fast, if Berhalter goes to kind of a style that he was using, say in Columbus, where he was spreading the field with his defenders, Yedlin moves right into that, and it's tough for me to say anyone in our defensive roster can usurp his position when there's a couple things that guy can do that I don't think anybody else can do, and one of the big one is his speed. You play a long ball that maybe isn't the most pinpoint accurate, and he'll still outrun the defender guarding him, and he'll go pick it up.
If Brooks gets called into camp, do you see him starting? Yes.
Yeah.
This isn't 100%. Even a 100%. Yeah. He's still the best, in my opinion, the best center back in that pool.
100%. I still stand by. There was that game in the Copa America in Philadelphia that Pat and I attended. It was the finest defensive game I've ever seen by an American. He was 100%. He was a 10 of 10.
Yeah.
That dude single-handedly carried that game for the U.S.
Was that Ecuador?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Ecuador.
I mean, he stopped shots. He stopped players. He cut off passes. We might as well have been playing with one at the back, but he was playing like he was 10 himself.
Yeah. I mean, and let's look at everything looking at today. These guys aren't in game shape yet. For either side, really. And I don't think this is Costa Rica's first game of the year, correct?
I think that's right.
So
that's something I should know, but
you should, but so should I. But we don't. But even still, this is the U.S. second game in a week, less than a week.
About a week, yeah.
About a week, okay, that's right. When was the first game?
It was Friday night, right?
Okay, Friday night, yeah. So in a week, 2 games, in a week. These guys aren't in game shape.
Yeah.
The field, I guess, took a ton of rain the night before. I mean, there are reasons for this game looking as garbagey as it did. But by and large, like I said, what you're looking for is, I think your takeaways is you're looking for individuals, and then you're looking for overall style of play, communication, and some of the things that really, specifically the second half of the year, was lacking with the national team. And then Bruce's well, pretty much his entire time. But just the organization and defending as a team, moving forward as a team, things like that. And I get it. You can do it against B-sides. Let's see what happens against Ecuador, who's a much better side. But at the same time, this is a start. That's kind of, am I overly optimistic? No, I'm not yet. But at the same time, it beats the heck out of where we were a year ago.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, when the alternative is the sky is falling, you know, we hate everything of, 14, 15 months ago, whatever it's been now.
Yeah.
Things are definitely looking up. There was, I think you could say, a pretty obvious style set up for us defensively over the last couple games. So that's a positive. It's nice to see something that reflects a direction of the manager. You know, since as we've discussed for more than a year now, with all the rumors that Berhalter was coming, what does that mean? And you know, what does that mean for the team? What does that mean for the future of the team? Is he the right guy? Some of those things did look good, I think, in the final.
And some people are still critical, you know. And I saw Kartik had posted something along the lines of on Twitter saying those who didn't like the Berhalter hire, not the process, not talking about the process, talking about the actual hire, saying you should have hired somebody else.
Yeah.
These games, he said, like, these games are a good start to showing this was the right hire. And I think I've been one of them the whole time that has said I like the Berhalter hire, because some of these foreign names that we're looking at, it's how committed to the program. You can tell how committed he is. And what I do like with Berhalter is this team could have beaten Trinidad and Tobago. That's true, because the field was probably in similar condition. What I liked with Berhalter, though, is when he gets asked a question, he actually answers it, which is new. Bradley never did it. I don't think anybody bothered with Saracen really to ask him a ton of questions because they knew he wasn't staying. But just hearing him talk about how, in some of the interviews I've seen, talking about how he's had to adjust his style to fit not only his players, but the limited time he has. Talking about this being data collection, which, you know, last year some of that stuff was being dictated to Saracen because he wanted to get looks at different things and whatever. You know, but like I said, I still think Berhalter's the right hire. A year from now, you guys all might be laughing at me as they stumble out or they start looking, but I just don't see it. He seems very prepared. He seems very to understand, looking at what he has in front of him, and I'm very optimistic about him that way. I'll be curious to see what he does when he has the, you know. But then again, it's like saying, hey, Berhalter can drive a minivan really well. Now let's give him a Formula One car and see what he can do with that. Not to say that the starting 11 is, but it's a lot faster when you start getting some of these other games going.
Well, yeah. I mean, the team will improve, but the opposition will improve dramatically. You know, it won't be Panama and Costa Rica, to some extent. Both teams are looking at, they're kind of in a similar position to us. That, you know, it's kind of a new generation for them. If there's a whole new future, are they the same teams they were? You know, they don't necessarily have all the same players to call on, or as many of them, or they won't have them as regularly because they're getting older. And then on top of it, this was an international break. So, you know, you only get guys who can come into something like this. You know, you're going to see a very different level of competition come March. Hell, come this summer. You know, even playing, you know, possibly Costa Rica and Panama in the Gold Cup, you'll see a very different situation, a very different level of competition there.
And New Jersey Ace pointed out, I swear he's watched these shows and is just regurgitating some of the things I said. He goes, that Berhalter understands the the U.S. soccer mentality or whatever, being a former, and that was one of the things I always said. I liked him over pretty much any of the others, is I thought he had the technical ability, and then he had that in there. but you're 100% right. This is going to be a completely different team than the one in the summer. Like I said, I'm optimistic about what I saw from this camp. And this is, you start pairing it with some of the talent and some of the moments we saw with the young kids under Saracen. I'm a little bit optimistic. Now that, like you said, Panama is ending a generation that was pretty solid. Costa Rica's ending. Costa Rica, as long as they have Keylor Navas. Sorry, they're still.
Yeah.
As much as I've loved Tim Howard, I think somebody was asking about Howard getting a send off.
Yeah, Jack's asking if Howard should get a send off.
Yeah, I think so. I think you should take one of the.
I'm not against it.
I'm not against taking one of the Gold Cup matches and throwing him out there for one of them against like Cuba or one of the teams.
One of the opening round games. Yeah, I mean,
an opening round send off. I mean,
the situation, like to take Jack's question, like should he get one like Rooney got for England a couple months ago? If there was a meaningless friendly, I could see doing it. My only problem, like somebody said, since Dempsey didn't get one, Chris Fairburn said since Dempsey didn't get one, Howard shouldn't either. My only problem with giving it to Dempsey was if he scores, and I mean it's a friendly, it's a send off for him. You're probably you could see the team is probably just going to feed him the ball to try to get him a goal. I mean that's what they did for Rooney. My problem was if that's what sets the record for him, like if that's what takes him ahead of Donovan, then I think that's crap. Like that will always to me like be an asterisk of, oh yeah, you got it in a bullshit game that you were handed as a gimme for your time here. But whatever, I mean, if you're gonna give a send up to one player, you kind of got to do it for both. It is sort of unfair to Dempsey to like rob him of that simply because to not give him what you'd give Howard just because, well, maybe he'll score a goal. Yeah, I mean, it's true. Oh, yeah, Master Commander. Yeah, no, it's true. Donovan had a send-off. Yeah, they totally were feeding him the ball. I mean, that's what happens in those situations.
I would hope if Howard gets a send off though, you really don't want to be feeding him the ball. I'll point that one out. Just or for a Howard send off, do you bring in Brazil and just let him be target practice?
You bring in what is it, Belgium?
Belgium
was that?
Yeah,
and see if he can make 17 saves in a game. Anyway, I don't remember where we were there. Yeah, true. Dempsey also has the heart condition.
Mihailovic looked bothered by the CONCACAFing. Yeah. Welcome to CONCACAF, son. Welcome to CONCACAF, son.
Everybody is, but he's going to have to get used to it. Mm-hmm. If you're a player who can play with the ball at their feet, and on top of it, and you're kind of smaller too, yeah, you're going to get your ankles chopped constantly. That's what's going to happen.
C1 Pulisic Christian.
Yeah, yeah. This is CONCACAF. This is what happens. It sucks. It sucks that these things are allowed to happen at the level they're allowed to happen when, like, if it was most other conferences in the world, this would not be allowed. But I see what happens when you're generally that much farther above the competition. A lot of CONCACAF is CONCACAF. And I mean, yeah, you can often put all of CONCACAF together in one bowl, the U.S. included. But the U.S. and Mexico are generally pretty far ahead of everyone else. Maybe Costa Rica you could lump in there, like they're kind of off and on. But in general, Mexico and the U.S. are the front runners here, and everyone else is doing what they have to compete. And part of that is you go take out the guy who's clever with the ball.
To me, this is no different than when you think of like a basketball game or a hockey game where they do the right wing lock, hack a shack. Yeah, basketball game where you're running on the shot clock, you're running the entire clock down and mucking it up, and that's what you do when you're out.
Basketball for most of the last 20 years,
but it works.
Yeah,
but it works, and they're saying, well, 3 Mexican referees. The referees weren't the problem today. In a friendly, you don't give cards unless you really have to.
Yeah,
because that. Especially when you start talking into the red card range, unless you really, really have to give a red, you're not going to, because why would you want to force them to go down to 10? I get it. It's part of the game. But at the same time, when the point of a friendly is to get minutes, taking minutes away, it's pointless. I wonder, actually, speaking of, is if you ever go to friendlies, if you see a red card, unless they get to replace them straight out. Up, you go away. You can put somebody else on or something
I
like
don't
that.
think so, but
I wouldn't
yeah.
mind
When do you see a red in a friendly?
fighting, and that's about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But my point is, the refs weren't the problem. Mihalovic got chopped. Guess what? That's like we said, that is going to happen to him when you're a creative player. This is where you learn to adjust your game to not get hacked.
Well, yeah, you learn to be a step faster, or you learn that this is what happens when you learn to take a dive better, or whatever.
Oh,
You learn to somehow step out of it, or to go with it and get your team a foul.
I mean, let's look back to the last round of qualifiers in the game at Azteca. What do you think the U.S. does at Azteca? They hack the crap out of them, because that's what you have to do to win those. You do what you do to win games, and for them, that's what they were doing. And well, like I said, now it's his turn to adjust his game to fit that, because if he thinks it's bad in CONCACAF, when you start featuring in MLS, you think it's going to be any better. It's going to be the same thing. These are the same types of players, so you might want to get used to it in that sense. But I guess it's it's nice to see that he has been such a featured so much during these games and has been such a positive impact for him, I guess.
Lewis has been interesting. He's definitely helped off the bench. He was it. He had it was his cross to
I believe so,
to Leggett for the goal. It was cool. It was a good ball. I did feel like it was weak defending. I mean, they like let him stop and like set up and then just kind of like take a free chip. But he was definitely a new option, and he had some strong play. And it's been interesting. We'll see what what he looks like going forward if this continues. But it's certainly a positive.
I guess so. We've talked about a lot of positives. What'd you break?
That wasn't me.
So Jack, as the weather warmed up, it's 41 degrees out here right now. So it's a little bit. So
it's a lot warmer than it was.
About 30 or 40, probably about 60 to 70 degrees warmer than it was the other day. So Fahrenheit on that end.
Celsius. That's what, 4, 2, 3.
Sorry,
3,
Jack.
4, something like that.
Not converting. So we've talked the positives. What about the negatives? What do you see? What kind of things? Will Trapp, I think, is one that he didn't look better.
I mean, the problem was, I think the problem with Will Trapp is you end up comparing him to Michael Bradley, and that's an unfair. It's like comparing somebody to Landon Donovan.
But we do it with
Christian Pulisic.
I was gonna say we did it with him.
Sure. But I mean, short of him, like, you have to do something pretty phenomenal to like outshine guys who kind of stand as like all-time greats in the program. So it's unfortunate that he's so close in timing that he naturally and in kind of positioning and style of play and things that he naturally gets compared to him, because I do think it's not like I want to bash the guy. It's more that but he's not Michael Bradley, and we can still bring Michael Bradley in. So what are you going to do?
But at the same time, I was fine with him being played over Bradley last year because he wanted to start. What he has. He doesn't have. I don't think he's got the next step to go for. I agree with what I saw, and I think it was Kim McCauley saying maybe he's hit a ceiling or he's close to it, and I think we're kind of there. The other one, Hat Guy, did he survive the Ice Age?
Yeah, Hat Guy bailed on us today, so
he said,
I think he's dead to us. He's dead to us,
or until we do the next show. Yeah. I would say the other negative,
he won't watch to know that we've said this. So
no, that's true.
We can say whatever we want.
That's true. Bard was not bad, nowhere near good enough. That's honest. The only other one I would say takeaway that I'd say was a negative. Well, and it's not a negative. It's just a reassuring. I don't know if that's the right word. Zardes is Zardes.
Yeah, I mean, look, he had some good plays. He had some good hold up play in the last game. Um, there was I thought early on he could have had a goal, but yeah, he played it too wide to himself because it was poor first
That's his
touch. I
first.
mean, yeah, like we saw. I guess to say of the bad things, to some extent, it is sort of Groundhog Day. It was kind of the same old stuff. It was poor passes, poor touches, guys not necessarily communicating properly, or not not moving where they were supposed to, or not playing the ball where someone was expecting them. Um, and there was too much of that in kind of both these games. But I thought especially in this game, and especially for maybe the first 60 to 70 minutes or so, um, that's kind of the same old stuff. Um,
Right. Um,
I
Zach,
could go on about it, but it's like
it's irrelevant.
we know what it looks like. We know what it feels like. We've kind of seen this one before. Ned
Uh,
Ryerson.
Zach Steffen's distribution. Was it better
I
today?
I liked his long goal kick that turned into the first goal.
Second goal.
Okay, second goal. Yeah, second goal. Second goal.
And I don't. I want to see the possession out of the back. I want to see him be able to. I guess the only upside is it was where it needed. It was it was good in that it got to. I don't want to see bombing down the field. I want to see more out of the back. But I guess compared to the other, yeah, it's better. Interesting that we didn't see any other keepers other than Zach Steffen this weekend or over these games.
Yeah, I kind of expected, especially in this game, that we would have seen something. I mean, with the change to Sean Johnson, what was that, halftime of the last game? I mean, I remember when it came on. I just can't remember exactly. Was it during the run of play? I can't remember.
They may have changed on the fly.
I think it actually was, because I remember thinking, like, that's odd. There's a keeper just running onto the field. Short of an injury, that's not common. But yeah, I was kind of surprised we didn't see another change there, just because why not? It's not like there was a lot of opportunities for Stefan to kind of show what he was doing either. I mean, for him, it was mostly probably about simply playing the ball, and even that, it's not like I mean, short of goal kicks, it's not like there was a ton of touches on his part. He had one punch out that I guess he could have punched it farther. At the same time, in a game like this, is he also just trying to avoid injury? Like, I was kind of surprised, moving a little bit off a keeper, although I guess moving to the other team's keeper. I was kind of surprised at how hard Ariola kind of went into that dive for the goal he scored. Like, in a friendly, in a game that you don't really want to get hurt because hopefully you're going to be playing for your club soon. I was surprised to see him kind of stretch for that ball as much as he did, and then have to like take that flip over the keeper.
But this game as a whole for a friendly was on the chippier side.
Yeah, well, it is Costa Rica.
That's true. I mean,
Costa Rica and Mexico, they're never really friendlies, If
they're not so friendlies.
Yeah. If Roman, what's his name from Panama? Roman, the defender, he plays for the Sounders.
Just keep going. Just keep.
Anyway, if he'd been there the other day, this wouldn't have been a friendly game. It would have been like him out there trying to break people's legs. So whatever.
Roman Torres.
Yeah, thank you.
Roman Torres, thank you.
That dude's a straight up criminal. If he'd been in the Panama game, it would have been way dirtier too. So I don't know. It's a CONCACAF game. The game means something to at least certain members of each team, whether it will eventually mean something to all of them. But yeah, anytime the U.S. plays Mexico, and I think Costa Rica is pretty close behind there, it's never really a friendly.
Gall. Do we need a look at? We need to look at Gall. I guess I'm of the opinion if we needed to look at him, he'd break through.
That's fair.
I mean, with any of these guys that we need to look at them. We need to look at if they're really that they'll fight. Especially I feel with would have been way dirty if this team faces Marquez. Marquez is not allowed in the United States, I don't believe. So I believe he gets picked up at the border and thrown in jail. So I don't think Marquez.
Rafa Marcos.
Marcos.
Narquez.
Take your pick, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think especially with Berhalter, if there's guys who need to get a look, he'll get a look at him. I don't think he's gonna miss anybody. I feel he's that detail oriented. And especially, and again, it goes back to what you hear in interviews and hearing from the people who watched him in Columbus. He is meticulous. He is detailed. He studies. He knows what he wants to do. So like I said, I don't see a lot of players getting missed that he thinks is going to fit into his system. So,
all right, that's good. Anything else? Have we touched on it all? I'm checking comments here too.
There's somebody asked about Terrence Boyd going to Toronto.
Yeah. Does he get a look with the national team? To me, sort of like Zardes, he's fairly far down the pecking order. He's also 27, 28 now. He's kind of in that window of
he needed to do it years ago.
He's definitely in that group of he's had lots of chances and something's always kind of made him not quite get there. If suddenly it came together, I mean, I guess he's not too old that it couldn't happen. I wonder what happens. I mean, I assume, whatever. I mean,
he'll be 28 in 2 weeks.
Okay, well, then yeah, I guess saying 28 was okay there. I don't know. I mean, I won't say he can't. He certainly has talents, and when he like shows glimpses of it, and then you're like, oh yeah, no, I get why his name has come up for years and why he's always been like, oh, he's going to be the future, and then he wasn't. Oh, he's coming back, and then he didn't. He's just not consistent enough. If he could somehow get that consistency, hey, awesome. But I want to see it, and then I'd say, oh, sure, yeah, bring him back. But otherwise,
Devin Shook is saying guy to Rangers from the Fire. That's Matt Polster they're talking about. Matt Polster was in Camp Cupcake a year ago, if I recall correctly. He's been a fringe. Good. He hasn't been healthy really for 2 years. I think the year before he was coming off injury, then missed most of this year with injury. When he's healthy, I think he's a fringe. He's a Gold Cup type player, but again, he's still pretty young too. 24, 25, so maybe not as much, but I don't think he's going to maybe as an outside. Well, I guess considering the dearth of talented outside back, he's going to get, because he's an outside back, he should get a look again. But he's again, same thing with any of these guys that go overseas. They've got to play. Going over there and sitting on the bench isn't going to do them a darn bit of good. They've got to get minutes, and that's going to be key for him. Carter Vickers, does he have a real chance to make the bench? Of course he does.
To me, his biggest problem has just been playing time.
Correct.
He certainly, does he replace? I see him challenging Miazga if Miazga is not getting playing time. In which case he's challenging Zimmerman. He's kind of challenging everybody, I think, but probably John Brooks. Miazga a few months ago, I think we were set on we know our starting two center backs, but then Miazga lost his starting position and things didn't go so well for him. Got the move to Reading. If things all come together this last half of the season at Reading, hey, sure, maybe we're back to knowing our starting two. Carter Vickers offers a lot that I like. He's definitely talented. I like that he can play with the ball. He needs playing time. He needs consistency. And the problem with his situation at Spurs was that he was never getting it.
Mm-hmm.
They want him, but they won't they won't put him on the field. He made the 18. Great. So what?
You know, I saw somebody asking about Gideon Zalalem.
Yeah, supposedly he's going to Sporting KC.
Hey, again, minutes. It's all about minutes. He's still 22.
Yeah, I mean, he's still young. Injuries have kind of ruined the last few years for him, but he's got the talent. I mean, yeah, think of how excited everyone was when he said he was going to represent the U.S. a few years ago. Oh, hey, look what we got coming. And basically he's been injured or recovering from injury ever since.
Correct. Robert's mentioning Toronto FC in the Toronto CONCACAF Champions League. Will Bradley and Josie want to skip? Of course, will they want to skip him? I think it's irrelevant to one or the other.
I could see them getting skipped. You know that
correct.
Yeah, one,
especially Josie. Bradley's more likely to be called into camp, but I just don't see him playing a ton of minutes in these upcoming friendlies either way. So I don't think that's a big deal. But I agree, anonymity. Let him skip.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not going to be playing, 90 minutes or close to it, there's let them stay with their clubs and try to, let them play in Champions League.
Yeah.
Josie's fun, but man, yeah, he can have a bad attitude.
I still want Josie just to play against Mexico because it's a red card. Because he can go and pummel Rafa Marquez because Marquez will still be playing, and he's going to be. You can go take a red card on Marquez and get Marquez a red card with him. I mean, that's I think Josie's rule. Unless Josie, I don't know what to make of Josie anymore. Do you?
I mean, I was gonna say, like, what happens with Terrence Boyd and Josie in the same place? Like, does Terrence Boyd become Josie's understudy? If he's going to a club where it's pretty much going to be the same thing that would happen to him at the national team, then no, I don't think that changes his future. But maybe that means something else for Josie, or I don't know. No, Josie's not the Diego Costa of MLS. I will not go that far. Gio Reyna, the news is he's with the U19s at Dortmund now. That's pretty awesome.
That's good for him. I guess not surprising.
Yeah, I mean, look, the rumors have been, he's going to Dortmund for, a year now. I don't even remember how long. It's been a while. So I'm hoping for good things. People keep asking about Miguel Almiron. Will he be a success at Newcastle? I don't know.
Can anybody be a success at Newcastle?
Will he be a success in the Premier League? I wouldn't. I'm not going to say no. He certainly has shown he has the talent. I don't know if Newcastle will turn out to be the best place for him. It may be a place to showcase his talent for a little bit, and then he goes somewhere else. But man, Newcastle, they got to be able to do more than just like shock Man City every once in a while. They got to be able to truly put an offensive showcase on once in a while. And sure, then yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. Rafa can do amazing things sometimes. So
Rafa's pretty amazing. Rafa's will always be underrated as a manager because I think when he went to Italy, he fell or was it Barcelona, Madrid that he fell flat, or a couple spots he fell flat. But he does a lot with the lack of talent.
Yeah.
I mean, Almiron's only 24. He's still relatively young. Let's see. Pulisic not getting playing time. Am I concerned? No. He's going to Chelsea. I'm not concerned about it. I would like to see him playing more, but he's going to Chelsea. So what he does at Dortmund is half, I think, just to protect to make sure he's not going to get hurt.
I mean, he still came on in the 65th today. It's not like he did come on fairly early. I can't say that he did a ton. Like, he had a few good touches right off the bat, but otherwise, most of that Dortmund game was boring. It was boring before he came on. It was boring after he came on. So I don't know. Whatever.
Why did Pulisic stay then? Because Pulisic, I think, feels an obligation to Dortmont. I think there's
I think there's some of that. I mean, look, why would he want to go when he could win the league? But also it's Chelsea. Like,
why does anybody want to go to Chelsea?
Chelsea's no one if they're not loaning people out. So whatever.
Right. Man City or Arsenal. If I'm taking Arsenal, am I getting spotted 4 goals?
Man. Yeah.
You got to spot me 4 goals. I'll take Arsenal then.
I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not expecting great things for Arsenal, but hey, Bournemouth shelled Chelsea a week ago, and not even a week ago, I guess it was.
It was midweek, Tuesday or Wednesday. It was Wednesday.
Yeah, it was just a few days ago. We saw Newcastle beat City. It can happen. Do I believe that the City's going to turn around and lose to Arsenal? No. I think they're probably going to take this as, oh yeah, we need to show who we are, and it's going to be a bit like Chelsea's game
against Liverpool.
No, Chelsea's game today.
Oh, I'm sorry, Man City's game against Liverpool, or not?
Well,
I'm sorry, Arsenal Liverpool. I see Arsenal getting on the business end of that one again.
Maybe I'm a little afraid of that. I don't know. We'll see. I definitely am not excited about tomorrow's game. All right. I think on that note, we probably hit the wall here, right?
Yeah, I think we're done here.
All right. Thanks, everybody. You've been watching USfanTV. You can find us on YouTube, as you know, as you can see. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Everything but Craigslist. Well, Craigslist, if you know where to find it. No Snapchat.
There you go. You can check out TJ and sometimes Hat Guy and I on the Minivan Dads Soccer Pod, which you can find, I don't know, wherever you find podcasts.
iTunes and SoundCloud. Hey, I haven't got that.
I told you I got mine yesterday, so I wouldn't run afoul of post-game show.
Hat Guy's not a trader. Hat Guy's being a dad this week. And then I think on that note, Chris, go ahead and say it.
All right. Yeah. You got any last thoughts?
You're done.
All right. Thanks, everybody. You are done.